Alright guys, welcome back to the shop, and today we're going to show actual progress, we hope. But anyway, I have a box of unknown, it did have a number on there, but it's got something in it. That's supposed to have my bed liner in it, and we're going to be putting bed liner on the bottom of this car for undercoating instead of actual undercoating, which is done by many people. If you want to see what you can do with a product like this with a colorant in it, where you can actually dye the color of it, and you can any color you want, go over to Joe Daddy's Garage. The link will be in the doobly-doo, or I'll put it up in the thing, or one of those kind of things here. He did a really great video on the Bronco that he was working on, and did the dye in it, and it came out really, really well. I mean, the color looks really good. It really did match really well to the actual paint color. And he does great videos. Great guy to go check out. Even allowed me to tag along on his little trip to up to Florida to pick up an RV and NPD and the tour of the car museum there. That was really cool. I appreciate that. That was fun. I had a good time. So we're going to get over and get this box open, see what's actually in it, because I haven't opened it yet. And I'm going to put it on the bottom of the car, because after this is on, we're building a body cart to get this thing off the rotisserie. All right, well, let's see what we got. Now, this is a different brand than what Barry used on the Bronco, because I just wanted to try something different. He used, I believe, Raptor liner, which is really well known. Good stuff, great stuff, no complaints. I have bought paper and more paper. And more paper. So what I do like about this one, this is made by Custom Coat. You can see that on there. Let me see, hopefully you can see that. And whoops, if I could twist it the right way. But that is Custom Coat. And so we've got, and we got a handful of these. I think they're a liter a piece. No, they're 724 ounces. So these are US probably instead of metric. So what is cool about this is you have this can here, you dump this one into here, you mix it up, boom, done, we're ready to go. No, you're done mixing. You don't have to measure anything, and it just makes life easier. That's my only thought with that. It makes life easier versus a big can that you pour a little bit in each one. And you know, anytime you don't have to measure something, it's a good thing. And let's see, it does have one of these little guys. Now I have somewhere an actual undercoating spray gun. That's the orange one with the silver thing here. I don't know where it is. I haven't seen the thing in probably 20 years, and I know I don't have the tube for some reason. So this is the one that came with this, is what we got. Air pressure regulator with gauging. Oh, it does. Okay. Yeah. All right, so you got a tube, and obviously we're just gonna thread. Come on. Oh, come on. Ow. Not so hot on the threads, guys. So we got that. Obviously that's going to go like that. And it does have a air. This is an air flow regulator. So if you're familiar with these, it's just a needle valve, and I might use this, or I might use one of mine off my spray guns that actually has a real diaphragm in it that actually does the pressure. But this will work just fine. You just pull the trigger, figure out what works on there, good to go. It's really not that big a deal. It's not like it's not. So that's in the box. Yeah, so this is what we're going to be using, and let's go prep. And if you do hear the wind, We actually had a nice little front come through yesterday after it was 100 and something degrees. It's only supposed to be in the 80s today. So this is our last cool day for months to come, because this is Monday morning. By Friday, we're going to be 102 to 104 every day. So yeah, yay, summer. All right, well, and to get the bottom of this prep, this has already been epoxy primed, and it has been painted with a acrylic enamel flat paint. So, you know, it's in good shape. So to prep it for the bed liner, you've got to get a little bit of a hook into it, because it's been a little while since I painted it. So I'm going to be using maroon Scotch-Brite pads, and we'll be removing this brake line that's just been basically stored here just since I wanted to see if it fit. And again, like many people tell you, don't buy brake lines. I'm not impressed with the fit. And to be honest, probably by the time I'm done with this car, this will be the only piece that I will actually use of the brake line kit. So that's another subject to gripe about in the future. But I would say, you know, get some pipe, get a bender and a flaring tool, make your own lines. Unless you're just going for exact original type of, you know, weird master cylinders and stuff like that, then go for it. So I'm going to put that thing on a time-lapse-y kind of thing, and I'm going to get started on scruffing this down and masking it off. But the only other thing we have to worry about is, where do we stop here? I don't know if you can see that. You probably can't. All right, so hopefully you can see that now. Now, the question is, we come up to this line here. That's kind of a natural line here at the end of the floor pan and the beginning of the firewall. Do we stop here? Do we go up? I'm thinking probably about coming up to about here and making a line somewhere in here, come up somewhere in here, somehow do that, and that way I can get some up in here on this as well. I don't know yet. I will decide that as I go. So let me back this camera up and let me get to it. All right, well, I have made the bottom nice and nasty. You see it is covered in black, dusty, gooey, gunky stuff from stem to stern. And you see I did not do those little guys there because I don't want to get the stuff all over those. But now we're back up here to the front. So this is where I haven't finished it yet. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to probably pick a spot and like come kind of along here and then just basically follow something around here, and basically think of anything that's flat and going this way is not getting coated, and anything that is basically breaks that plane and goes backwards will be coated. So I'll probably come across, come like, you know, down under here, tape this off, and then I'll come in and scuff that up. So we'll see how that goes here, because that's the last little bit that I've got to do. And then I've got to clean all of this dust off, which means lots of not fun. So let me get the mask in here and we'll see how that ends up at. All right, well, I have scuffed it, I've blown it off. Now I'm at the point of getting the graffiti off that somebody decided to leave behind. I don't know if you can see that or not. I can see it. But every time I have something that's dusty, somebody comes in and leaves graffiti all over it. Now, this is a good example why just blowing it off is not good enough. because you can still see that, and you can still see that's just, yeah, there's still stuff there. So yeah, just blowing dust off is not going to cut it. So I'm going to go with what I like to use to start with is this kind of type of little guy. These little lint-free things. These things do a really good job of not being where I need them to be at the time, and me not being prepared. All right. But they do a really good job of just picking up a lot of this stuff, and they really do work well. You see all that stuff that's on there, and it comes right off. It works well. So what I will do is I'll wipe it down with a number of these, and you see how the dirt's on there. The thing is, when you're cleaning anything like this, you wipe it down and say, oh yeah, look at all that dirt I picked up, and you think, oh hey, I'm done. You're not done. You're not done until you do this with cloths, whether you use the dry stuff, whether you use this with wax and grease remover, whatever you use on it. Anytime you're cleaning anything, you're not done until you take rags, and when you wipe it on there, they come off looking just like you put, like they came out of the box and nothing's on them. That's how you know you're done, is when there's absolutely nothing being picked up that you can see. So that's the best practice. Whether that happens in the real world, that's a different issue. But, that's what you want to see. So I am going to be wiping this whole thing down numerous times. So let me get to it. All right, well, while the car decides to fall over the wrong direction, I've scuffed it. I've masked a few things up front. Cleaned it, scuffed it, cleaned it again. I've been cleaning it with the, these little guys here. These work really well. They're just, I don't like the feel of them. They just don't crumple up nicely. They feel like you're dealing with a piece of plastic, because they are plastic. So a lot of these lint-free things are kind of that way. It's just, it is what it is. It's just part of the way they work. But it does do a great job of picking up a lot of stuff. Now, is there stuff still on here? Oh yeah. I mean, I showed you the picture. I held up the one and said, yeah, it's nice and clean, but it's still not clean. So my next step will be is that I'm going to do this with wax and grease remover. Okay. Because the idea is this really, the blowing gets some of it off. This gets the majority of it off. I'll do the wax and grease remover, and then I'll let it dry. And while I'm letting it dry, I'm going to go ahead and start masking off, with plastic, so I don't get it all over the body, because I'm not going for the four-wheel drive off-road look on this Mustang. I don't plan for this one to be in its natural habitat in the ditch, so I'm not going to go that route. So I'm also going to go back and add some more seam sealer in a few spots that didn't have seam sealer, that, now that I look at it, it's like, I want to put some in there, and I'm not too worried about it. I'll put the seam sealer on, I'll let it set up, and just throw the bed liner over top. It'll all be good. It's fine. It's not going to be the end of the world. So as you see, we're pretty much ready to go there. And no, I didn't repair a lot of these dents in the bottom of it, because I'm not going to. But this is the carnage that happens when you lift up these cars with standard, bottle jacks and, some kind of little, there's little 1.5 ton hydraulic jacks. But this is what happens. These cars are not really designed to be picked up normally. There is one thing that can be done, and you can take some square tubing, put some square tubing in here, and you basically run it from here all the way down there. You weld it on, and you weld it into here and on here, and that gives you what's called they call it a jacking rail. So essentially just heavy wall square tubing welded in there. I thought about doing that. I didn't get any to do it. I'm just going to get some, little pads that will go around, the cleats, the pinch welds, Well, I'm having a problem with words. It must be the wax and grease remover. But, you know, something to go around these here, because when I come here, I've got support here, and I've also got support over here, because I've got the inner rockers from the convertible that are here. So there's a, you know, there's a huge amount of support in here. So that's not really an issue. But that's something that could be done. Had I had the square tubing, I would have gone ahead and done it. I would not use 1 inch. I would use something about 7/8, kind of a medium wall, not a super thick wall, but a medium wall, something to be thick enough. And I would weld it here and maybe come back and tack it over here. I even toyed with the idea of drilling into here, putting riv nuts into that inner rocker all the way down here, and then going through the tubing and screwing it into there. But I was like, yeah, no, just too much work, not worth it. It's not, because I want to make one of those braces that goes in the front, you know, that goes here to here. You probably not pointing where I think I'm pointing, but the engine brace that has a little pad on it, you can buy those or you can make those. So that way you can lift it up from there and back here. You put it underneath the rear end and lift it from the rear end, you know, so on and so forth. So let me get to letting this dry out some more, and it does still stink really badly in here. When I'm going to dry out, I'm going to wipe it down probably a couple more times just to make sure. I'll add some seam sealer, and then I'll mask it up and blow some stuff on here and hope that works. We'll see how it turns out. And I've made the command decision. I will not be doing up here. And the reason for that is this right here, because I'm probably going to go ahead and let the bed liner come to here and let it cover the side of the frame rail here. I'll probably let it do that. You know, I'll put the cover on here, go over the cover, mask off into here, but obviously that's in the way. So I think what I'll do is wait till it's on the body cart before I do this area up in here. So let me get back to work and you know, pick up at that point. Well, the car is masked, and it's as masked as it's going to be, considering the rest of the car is not painted. If I miss something and get something on there somewhere, oh well, not the biggest problem in the world, but it's masked good enough to the point where I am getting frustrated with my tape, because my tape doesn't want to stick to anything, because it's been out here in the heat in the last year and 2 years, and I'm just going to end up throwing all my tape away because it just doesn't stick to anything. So I'm ready to mix this stuff up here. Now, pretty simple mix. One of these, I don't know if you can see any of that too. One of those. You pour this in here, you shake it up for 2 minutes, you plug this little guy on top of here, you spray it on there, hoping it does some kind of texture that doesn't look like dog pucky or horse pucky, whichever it is at the moment. And it says to set this little guy at, and I decided to use this one, there it came with, to between 40 and 60 psi, so I picked 50. Now, remember, when you set one of these type of things, it's not turn the knob and set it to 50. It's pull the trigger and turn the knob and wait till it reads 50, because you want 50 to get, you know, you get it. I hope you do. So I'm going to mix this up, and I have a nice Tyvek suit. I have no idea where it is, so I changed it into a black shirt. So when I make a mess, if I get it on this shirt that's nice and holy and full of, you know, maybe the Bedliner will fill up the holes in my shirt from welding. You never know. So I'm going to get this mixed, and I'm going to turn the radio back on, because, you know, how YouTube is the music I want to listen to is not the music that I can put on my video. So we'll do this and do that, and maybe put the thing in my head again, and you can watch me make a mess of it, and, you know, right there in front of me. So yeah, again, let's get back to it. Okay, well, I just had to pause the music for a moment. Still got the air conditioner running, and it's noisy. Now, one gripe I'm going to have on this, and this is not against the company, is, oh, why? You know, safety's going to get people killed. You know how that goes. I mean, really? Okay, that's not horrible, but really, so what I normally do with these kind of things is, well, in this case, I'm going to go ahead and put it back on here. You know, and it's got this stupid clicky crap on here. And I'll normally actually just kind of cut these things. And this is paper thin plastic. What I normally do on a lot of these is I don't even try to open it most of the time. Well, this one's actually being harder to cut apart than it would be just to open. But you get the idea, because I didn't actually cut it. And then I don't have to, and then just tear this garbage off of here. And then you can take the lid off like a civilized person. See? Nice, easy. And this does have the little tear out thing like, you know, your hardeners and things like reducers have. So, you know, more, you know, safety garbage. All right, guys, this is me from the future. Really quick tip on things. Now, I'm the type that, you know, when it comes to safety, your safety is your responsibility. I don't like to harp on about that kind of stuff. You do what you want to do. That's your thing. That said, I will say, when you're working with this Bedliner stuff, this stuff is extraordinarily strong stuff. It is worse than clear coat paint and things like that. The fumes are really, really bad, and they go on for an extended period of time. So you want to make sure you've got really good ventilation, and you've got some kind, minimum, some kind of mask, you know, something of this type. And I say with a face mask too. Now, with, you know, that covers your eyes. The reason for that is that this is not only stuff that you breathe in, also this stuff, and the same with the urethane paints and anything like that, it will actually get in through your eyes too, because it likes to, it goes after mucous membranes and moisture and that kind of stuff. So that's kind of why you really want that full face shield, and it keeps stuff out of your face too. And they're not expensive these days. They're really cheap. They use the standard 3M filters. So I'd really look into one of those versus just a half mask for any kind of painting. And then if you really can, what you want to do is something a little bit better. And this is my favorite that I like to use. Is this is again, this is a full mask. This has a air supply system that is hooked up to it. This kind of goes on your waist. It hooks up to a secondary air compressor, not the air compressor that you're using in your normal shop, that's your oil one. I have a separate oilless compressor that actually sits outside, that I have a dedicated hose from that. It's only used for that, and it runs in and hooks into that system there, and it basically just pumps fresh air into your mask constantly, which it gives you fresh air to breathe. It's great. And the other nice part is it keeps your face dry. You know, you're not sweating and all that. So those things work really well. They're not the little supplied thing. I don't know, they're 50, 60 bucks for that, and the mask is the cheap part. That's a great way to go. Just make sure you've got a big enough compressor. Mine is borderline on big enough. I actually need a bigger one, because on a long spray run, it has a hard time keeping up. So make sure you got a big enough oilless compressor. But those things, they do work great. But make sure you've got good ventilation. And then when you're done with that, if you have your car in an enclosed area, you'll want to ventilate it out. And it's going to take a week for that stench to go. It really is. It's going to take a week. So yeah, just let it air out, do its thing, and stay away from it as much as you can, because it is really nasty stuff compared to even clear coat and urethane paints. So let's get back to it. All right, guys. Well, this is the aftermath of yeah, this is the aftermath of putting the bed liner on the bottom of the car. I'll just leave that there for the cleanup crew to take care of. You know, that's what you do. So take a look at this and see what it looks like. And I will say, other than the car not staying where I want it to stay sometimes, I'm pretty happy with that. I did do it a little kind of heavier when I first started in here, and I was a little closer. But once I backed off a little bit, I got a texture that I liked a little bit better. In the wheel wells here, I did put a nice heavy coat in the wheel wells because this is the most damaged area. But overall, I'm come on, stop moving. I'm happy with it. It will do what I want. Yeah, it's all good. Nike likes. Now, as you can see, I did not do this up here. I'm going to wait till I get this back on the wheels that I'm going to build for the cart here shortly after the stink stops, and then get this brace out of the way, and that way I can do that area. And this up here, now I did, this is kind of hard to see because this is black and it's on black and it's in the dark, but my little edge here, I'm happy with the way that turned out. That's not bad. Yeah, I like it. It works. It does what I want. So yeah, this was 3 quarts. Everything out here was 3 quarts, and that gives me 1 more quart to do up in the front, and then anything else I want to touch up back here if I want to. Yeah, so I would say the custom coat stuff, pretty good stuff. One tip I would say is I painted, this was already painted black, and this is black on black paint. I would tell you to make it a different color paint before you put your coating on, or you can buy a tint and get a tintable and tint this and do it a different color if you want. I actually thought about doing a charcoal or something, but I didn't. But the contrasting colors would make life so much easier if you did that. But yeah, the texture varies in a few spots here and there because I'm kind of fighting with it. But yeah, I'm happy with it. It'll do what I want. And the only people looking at it is, you know, if you're looking at it, then that's your own problem. So yeah, so I'm happy with it. Onto the body cart, and that'll be up next here pretty soon. See you later.